What is up? Welcome back to Wheel Route Fantasy Football Channel. We're going to jump in an Eliminator. I should have actually jumped in before I got started because I'm sure we're going to have to waiting for eight people. Actually, I'm going to pop out the draft board and I'll do some slow drafts with you while we wait. If you want to jump in, we're waiting for 8 in the Eliminator. Jump on in. We'll have some fun. Go over some points we need to refresh ourselves with, and then we'll move ahead. A couple slow drafts while we wait. Not too bad on the clock. I think I got about 80 of these going. Couple end each day. You're in? All right. Let me know when it fills. I'm hitting off a couple slow drafts while we wait. I need a bigger picture here. All right. So, this is a tough one. I got 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and a tight end. I need a quarterback bad. I do remember setting this up. Shuck is only back stackable with his tight end. Malik Willis really doesn't need to be back stacked. Gonna hit that off. Waiting for 2 in the Eliminator still. Waiting for 2. Who do we have? Yeah. Well, I was over 100 slow drafts, but they're finishing, and I'm tempted to jump in like maybe 20 of the slow puppies, something like that. But all right, win that dough. Big shooter. 5 more for you, it does? Oh, wait. Yes, it does. 5 more. Waiting for 5 more for the Eliminator. I'm looking at too many things here. Yep. All right, one more slow draft. Let's hit this off. Or maybe a couple more slow drafts. What do we got here? I am in the 8th round here. So slow drafts are typically tougher because people get a chance to kind of plan out their teams. And there's always that temptation to rush through the pick, right? Like I can tell you, especially when I'm on stream. But as long as you take your time and kind of plot out each pick, it ends up taking a lot longer. Like, so I have probably 20 where I'm on the clock here, and I'll probably take 3 to 5 minutes with each one. I could go for a running back here, Jacksonville, Chicago, New Orleans, Seattle. There's no Manung guy, no thank you. I could, 8-8? I could go Worthy and try to push Mahomes around the turn. It's probably not going to happen, though. I could probably, what do we got here? Slow dress up. Yeah. You know, like the one problem with auto drafters and slow drafts is that you never get that falling value unless they're like far away from you. But if you got the slow drafter, unless they have their ranks in, which a lot of people do. I have old ranks in. Like I need to update and refresh them. I don't know. What should I do? I don't have any Manon guy, but actually a lot of times in the slow drafts, this is my chance to kind of grab the guys I don't usually get. But it's so tempting to just go with what like your instincts tell you every time. And you kind of have to, like, I found that backing off and really thinking about it, like this is a good spot to get Laporta because 10 picks away, is Jared Goff. Like, this is the perfect, by ADP, I should easily be able to nail the Laporta Goff stack. But I definitely need to run him back. And let me think. 102 is my next pick's at 101. Jonathan Brooks ADP is 102. He's one of my favorites. So whatever I get here, do I want tight end, running back, or do I want to try? I really like Worthy this year. Kansas City not signing anybody else as of yet anyway. I don't think Diggs goes there. I don't think Devo goes there. Anybody else that goes there shouldn't crowd in on him. Yeah, like really, if you just go by ADP, stacking out your positions, you get the best projected team. And I probably should. Nah, I'm going to go Worthy. See if Mahomes gets pushed around the turn. I highly doubt it. And if Mahomes doesn't get pushed around the turn, I'll still grab Jonathan Brooks. That's my thinking. And if Brooks is gone, there'll be somebody else there. Maybe Monangai, maybe Dobbins. Maybe I'll go tight end. Figure it out from there. I like the upside of Worthy this year, so just going to go from there. So where are we? Now we're waiting for 3 more in the Eliminator. Come on, let's fill that Eliminator. Right, Laporta. But the one reason there's 2 reasons why I like Laporta. Their new offensive coordinator has shown a history of targeting the tight end heavily, and it's really easy to stack him with Goff on that turn. But usually I like to do that when I already have a Detroit receiver. You can get, what's his name, super late. Tesla, super late. Yeah, not anymore. I earlier in draft season, in May, it was super easy to get Mahomes, Worthy, and Kelsey stack. In fact, you could fill, like, you could get Mahomes in the 8th or 9th, Worthy in the 10th or 11th, and Kelsey in the 12th or 13th. Like, you could easily fill guys in between there. Like, they were going so far apart and so late. It was really sweet and easy to do, but whatever. It all good things, right? You knew that that has to catch up sooner or later. The only other time to get it now, Mahomes and Worthy are going like 3 picks apart. So you got to catch it at a turn. Either a turn that falls to you. Still waiting for 2 in the Eliminator. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's his upside, right? Like, we don't know what his floor is really. He was injured half the year last year. We couldn't get, he really shouldn't have been on the field, but they didn't have anybody else. And, I also think Andy Reid has the mentality, like, I owe this guy. He played his heart out for us last year, which is, always a nice thing when the coach is looking out for you. Yeah, I still have a soft spot for JMO. I feel as though, like, if ARSB wasn't there, he'd get a lot more targets, but ARSB helps the offense out overall. Yeah, I understand JMO's boom bust, and yeah, Worthy could outscore him, but I don't think that's likely. Like, I think JMO is going to pay off his ADP, like, not significantly, but all right, we are full in the Eliminator. Do I want to rush through it? Pick right here. Who are my quarterbacks? Cincinnati, LAC. I'll come back to that later. There's no need to rush. Where is the Eliminator, though? That's going to be... I'm in the 12 hole, so no big deal. In fact, I'll show you the draft board. Finding it is always a really fun time. There we go. You can't, in my opinion, you can't love Laporta and JMO without an injury. I think you can. I think that offense will be firing on all cylinders this year. I see what you mean. There's, I guess, a limited amount of touchdowns, but I don't see it being very spread out. Like, you got your four basic, going to have close to 20% ARSB, Laporta, JMO, and Gibbs. There ain't really room for anybody else in that offense. Yeah. I'm not super high on any of them, but they all seem to fall to reasonable prices. I guess JMO's come down a little bit too, and this is Eliminator, so the ADPs are going to be different here. So I can look back at that. Yeah, here it's 56. It's probably in the fourth round, right? If it gets to the late fourth and the fifth, when JMO goes in the fifth round, I'm fine with that. I would say that Tesla and Laporta are the ones that are battling for those end zone targets. They, Tesla is pretty tall. I want to say he's 6'2" or 6'3". So he kind of plays in the end zone like a tight end. So I would say the Laporta Tesla, I would rather have obviously JMO and Laporta than the Laporta Tesla. All right, I'm going to go definitely Saquon Barkley, and I'm trying to think. All right, Eliminator. I can't really pass up Justin Jefferson. I'm going to go with him. There's just too much upside there. I think he's going to have a much better year. Oh, Addison. Yeah, give me Addison all day for sure. Yes. I think I feel like I say it every time I draft. Yeah, Addison at a discount for sure. Whenever I see Justin Jefferson in the 12 hole here, I can't not draft him. He could be the number one wide receiver overall. Like he's got enough talent to break fantasy. No matter who his quarterback really is, except for what was his name? Last year was just a hot mess. Maximus, is that you? Who will we draft him with? Anybody in here in this draft? Sweet. Let's go. All right. So first round, and this is an Eliminator, so it's going to have a different ADP and different style than other drafts. The non-Eliminator drafts, you really want to gear your picks and stacks and bringbacks and all that stuff towards week 17 or the playoffs, depending on the elimination process in each of those and what the final round is. Like if you have a final round that's, a couple dozen people, you don't really have to gear towards week 17, but you want to, build some stacks thinking and bring back thinking about those playoffs. Okay, cool. Was it a previous one of my streams? Maximus. I don't remember. What was I talking about though? So, but the beginning goes about the same. Gibbs, Bijan, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey, JSN, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, a little earlier than normal. Ginty, I would have ahead of Cook and Taylor, especially in this format with his week 13 bye. Yeah, the most important thing in this is we want to gear our winning and our points towards the beginning weeks. And we want to watch out for buys. We don't want to stack too many bye weeks because it's, if you have too many players on bye, really easy to get a low score and get knocked out. All right. After Ginty went ARSB, CD Lamb, I took Barkley and Jefferson. Then we see Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry goes a little bit earlier in these because of his week 13 bye. Then we see A.J. Brown, Chase Brown, Omarion Hampton, George Pickens, a little early there, Devin Achane, Drake London, Brock Bowers, Nico Collins, Breece Hall. Zay Flowers starts out the third. Then we have Javonte Williams, Jeremiah Love, Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs. Yeah, running backs tend to go a bit earlier here. That's why it was a little bit risky to go split instead of double running back. What am I looking at? Yeah. Kicking myself. I should have gone 2 running backs at the 1-2 turn there. This is my punishment. Coming up on my pick, Devontae Smith and Olave go right before me. I'm looking at, I'm going to grab Garrett Wilson just because of his week 13 bye. I'm going to go with David Montgomery just because he's an eliminator-ass pick. Like, he'll give me a solid floor. I don't like that. It's just boring. I can agree with that. I whoever you want in the 101 is really what I would say between Bijan and Gibbs. Yes, here Bijan has the week 11 bye, the much later bye. But my philosophy with this is I'm going to be drafting a few dozen of these. Probably over 50 eliminators. So chances are I'm going to get both the 1-1 and the 1-2 4 or 5 times each. So I'm just kind of going to stay with ADP when it comes to those guys. I don't have a strong take as to who the number 1 is, so I'll let ADP decide. When it get even to the 3-hole with the receivers there, Puka and Chase, I would be very tempted to take a running back, although because I'm going to do enough of these, I'll kind of keep pace with ADP. Where I will break it is that I would have Ginty at the 1.5. Not just because of his bye week, but the fact that I think he has a real good chance to outscore every other position player besides maybe Gibbs or Bijan. I wouldn't, I'm never going to bet against Gibbs or Bijan. There's something in me that just won't let me take Javonte. But a lot of people like him in this format because of the late bye week. But yeah, passing on Jeremiah Love doesn't make a whole lot of sense there either. Same bye week. Although Jeremiah Love's probably going to get a slow start to his season. Tyler Algier is probably, and I have a ton of Algier, probably over 15%, I'm sure. Just for that very reason. Like when I pick running backs early that I know or I think are going to get slow starts, I will jump on Tyler Algier late. All right, coming up on my pick. We got the next in ADP: Christian Watson, Jadarian Price, Tony Pollard, Carnell Tate. I will probably split between. Ooh, yeah. I'll just do the next two in ADP. They both have week 11 buys, but I don't have any week 11 buys yet. Yeah, I'll be boring. I have very little Jadarian Price, and he's another one that could start out slow and he could get his feet stepped on later. But I really think he's gonna have Kenneth Walker's touches, like almost to a T, almost exactly. They're gonna like it. Or they're gonna use him exactly like they used Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was a much better prospect coming out of college, a proven prospect coming out of college. We don't know with Jadarian Price, and I really have very little of him, but he has started to fall. I've even seen him in the late sixth, and maybe even I feel like I've seen him popping into the seventh once or twice, right when I was like, ooh, now I'll get him, and he gets snagged right before me. But yeah, so far I've split it even. Barkley, Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, David Montgomery, Christian Watson, Jadarian Price. Two running backs that I don't usually get, but in this format seem like a pretty safe floor. And we really want safe floor. We want to, come out of the gates with our W's and our points. Oh, for sure. Nico and Evans on the same bye. I wouldn't worry too much about that. I wouldn't worry too much about the bye weeks. Like if I think in my last draft, I did have a couple running backs or a couple of receivers on the same bye week, and you can build it out later, so you'll be fine. But you don't want to stack a third running back or a third wide receiver. If you do stack it, you want it to be like weeks 13 and 14, where you've already won enough that you're collecting money. You want to try to push the bye weeks back as far as you can, so that you have a full roster of players going all the time. And here are the quarterbacks. I kind of felt as though I might be better off reaching for a quarterback, but maybe I'll just push it even further. Yeah, Jordan Tyson going to the seventh after Metcalf. I don't feel like that's usual, but it's probably because rookies start out slow, and that was the philosophy and thinking there. Don't mind that. I might continue to go on my same pattern, although I could get Trevor Lawrence. I have nothing that I have him stacked with, but I like Lawrence a lot this year. And I feel like Lawrence he shouldn't be going behind Stafford, that's for sure. Do I want to do? I'm gonna pass on the running back here. I'm gonna pass on J.K. Dobbins. That's probably a bad move. I probably should have gone with Dobbins. The only thing that made me hesitate is he has the same bye week as Barkley, and that it's week 10, so it shouldn't matter that much. But that's probably the one I'm most worried about at the running back position. Barkley is for sure what my team is riding on through the first 9 weeks. I probably should have grabbed that. Well, that's also the other thing. By the time I actually need him, will he still be on the field? I understand Dobbins is going to come out of the gates with 10 to 12 touches a game, but Dobbins has never made it through a full season healthy, has he? Maybe one time he made it through 16 games in a season. And last year was even surprising. He was able to come back, which is kind of like, oh, okay, but he didn't come back nearly as effective. There's different ADPs in here, so it's kind of like messing with my eyes quite a bit. The week 17 correlation doesn't really matter. Like I understand too. Um, like my natural instinct is to stack and to stack and to stack. And this is probably the first draft I'm doing of the Eliminator that I really have not even like planned a stack. And I'm not saying it's actually bad either. I still think stacking does give you a micro edge in certain weeks. Because you could be facing your quarterback and you have one stack, he has another, he doesn't have a stack and you have a stack, and then it can make a difference. Me and my friends started stacking literally back in 1998 in home leagues, a 10-team home league. And we're worried about stacking because the previous year, it was either, I want to say it was Steve Young and Jerry Rice, maybe that first, maybe I'm thinking too far back, but that might've been the first, and that wasn't 98. It was before 98. Like we realized somebody did it by accident. They stacked like the number one quarterback and the number one receiver. And everybody from that point on was like, whoa. Yeah. Oh, 3 years ago. That was the year I came in fourth with that stack in, what was it? The NFFC best ball. I'll be doing a few of those drafts in a couple of weeks. Actually, I need to check out the schedule. I think end of July, I start streaming those. Okay, so I haven't been paying attention to this at all. I'm going to get my guy, Jonathan Brooks. I know he has a week 5 bye, but I probably won't need him until after his bye. Hopefully, maybe. Who knows? But I think he has an opportunity to break fantasy. And Jacoby Myers, I'm going to stack with Trevor Lawrence. Although I should have been looking at Kyler Murray and Jordan Love. I have stacks there too. Not that it matters here, but I'm just getting fancy and playing around. Not paying attention to what I'm doing, but that's fine. Yeah. I was part of the Deontay hype. I thought he was, yeah. Whoops. We all make mistakes. I thought and Deontay, when he was in Pittsburgh, he got mouthy at the end, but he was there with Antonio Brown, wasn't he? And then Antonio went nuts. So Deontay was like, I'm the wide receiver one now. And in turn, he went nuts. All right. You know what? Like, Pittsburgh always drafted those guys that, like, bless them, the mental health issues suck or must suck. There's quite a bit in my family, so it sucks from the other side too. But Pittsburgh seems to get those kind of guys, don't they? I wonder. It's probably Metcalf that's going to lose his mind next, right? Metcalf goes and loses his mind this year because he's not getting targeted enough. Oh yeah. But Pickens this year, he handled himself tremendously last year, I thought, except towards the end. If we remember towards the end, he kind of did that a little bit of a quiet quitting. Like, I'm coming into a contract year. I want my contract renewed. I want, extended. And he didn't get it. He's on the franchise tag. So he seems like he's okay right now. But I'd be on the lookout for him towards the end of the season. Oh, pulling that quiet quit. Looks like I just fell behind at tight end here, doesn't it? Very tempted. All right, I'm going to go Tyrone Tracy and close out my running back room, I think. I like Tracy a lot. I'm thinking, maybe. I'm just going to grab Darnold to get another quarterback. Cover my bye week there. Maybe Rashid Shaheed isn't going to come back, but stacks don't matter. I was tempted to grab Dalton Kincaid. Probably would have been a good pick, but I can still make up the tight end position fairly easily towards the end. As long as you have 3 tight ends that are like playing, you're fine. It gets a little thin here, but I would rather make sure I got a solid QB2 than worry about, the difference between Kincaid and who am I going to get? Where the heck is Strange went. That 11th round really crushed the tight end there, didn't it? Y'all got me distracted. Oh, Jacoby is a fantastic pick. Jacoby is massively underrated. And it's because like his first 3 years in New England, he couldn't score a touchdown, or he had like 1 touchdown in 2 or 3 years. But he went a whole season with like leading the team in receptions and having a relatively high total. And I want to say he even had 1,000 yards, but then had 0 touchdowns or 1 touchdown that year. And he would get tackled inside the 5 repeatedly. Like it wasn't for a lack of like his own effort. It was just like he'd be waiting on deep ball and he'd get caught from behind, or just shallow crosser that couldn't quite make it and he had to go out of bounds or something. Like it was a series of just like, wow, I can't believe he didn't score. Other than like if he gets 5 touchdowns that year, all of a sudden he's moving way up. But then the knock on him was he can't score touchdowns. And I don't think it's an inability. It's just that it hasn't regressed so positively that we're like, what? Was it year 6? I remember a year with New England where he was doing quite well, and just it was almost a running joke that he didn't get in the end zone. But I've always thought he's been very talented. Just never kind of the right quarterback in the right situation. All right. So coming up on my pick here, need to look tight end. I'm going to close out that running back. The quarterback landscape just, well, you know what? I am going to go Geno Smith and Kenyon Sadiq. I don't know where Sadiq was in ADP. Oh, I knocked out the tight end instead of the running back. Okay. Little clicking error there, but just stack the Jets on the turn there. Week 13 bye. I think they will have a very improved. Oh, I had Garrett Wilson too. So that's nice, neat little week 13 stack there. With, could be the worst team in the NFL, but you never know. Maybe it was the year he had 866. Then that it was. Did he score any touchdowns that year? I should pull up the stats myself, but I guarantee you there was 5 or 6 plays where it was just like, how didn't he score on that? I feel like he was a waiver wire pick that year, and it was just like, just kept coming short. He had 0 and 2 touchdowns and then 6 the next year. That makes it 6 and then 8. Yeah. So now he's coming. I still think he's underrated. So Michael Leone from ETR is a very numbers oriented, very analytic oriented drafter and analyst. He's been off for the past, I think, like 2 months. Not sure if he's coming back, but I would guarantee you when he comes back, if he comes back before August, he'll get into that projections room with the other ETR boys. And I would not be surprised if you see Jacoby Myers being pushed up about 3 rounds within a week or two of Leone coming back. He is, in the past, he has talked up Jacoby Myers, and that's his kind of player. All right, so I am looking at closed out quarterback and running back. Need 2 more receivers and 2 more tight ends. Who do I get? So I got Travis Hunter sitting at the top of yeah, good. I'm glad he went. I did in normal non-eliminator. I loved getting Travis Hunter. I liked him better when he was in the 15th. He's mostly going in the 12th now, which is a little bit pricey. But definitely still like the pick. Okay, so I'm going to close out my tight end room here. I'm going to grab Gunnar Helm. Should be consistent week to week. And then Terrence Ferguson keeps getting that buzz. So I'm pushing him up quite a bit. They keep talking about Terrence Ferguson being able to play any offensive position, not just the inline and out of line tight end positions, or the move and the inline tight end positions. They talk about he could play X, he can play Z, he could play slot, and they even mentioned that he can play running back. The coaches did. So although his ADP has risen 2 full rounds in over 2 rounds in the past 2-3 weeks, I have no problem. I really consider the 15th through 18th round one big block. It doesn't matter. Getting somebody in the 18th and getting them in the 16th, there's no difference there. There's 0 difference. And in fact, by the time you hit the 16th round, you should be scrolling down looking for underrated guys, your guys, dart throws, or stacks, or something that kind of solidifies your team and your team needs. All right, I got Jefferson, Garrett Wilson. But Jefferson's a nice brain. Well, that's week 17. I got to get that brain done. Pretty spaced out there with bye weeks too. This is an eliminator ass team right here. Oh, I know what I can do. Get a little. Oh, no. He's got Cooper Kupp just went, man, he just popped into my head and he comes off the board. I was just going to, be fancy and stack up Sam Darnold with something. Oh, I could have stacked him up with this tight end. Right? No, Barner went before I went with Helm. Maybe, yeah. Well, whatever. No, stacks don't matter. Going to get myself 2 receivers here to close this out. What am I looking at? Stribling, maybe. No, I got 2. I got 2 guys. All right. Don't take my guys, because then I have to put another one in the queue. I guess I could come up with one, but all right. So I'm going to go Tank Dell strictly because I think he has immense upside and he's got a chip on his shoulder. Ooh, I was going to go Pat Bryant. Might as well. Pat Bryant, maybe a little handcuffed Cortland Sutton, play a little ham and egg there. One of them goes off one week, the other goes off the other week. Okay, so my team from top to bottom, I started out Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, came back with Garrett Wilson and David Montgomery, hit up Christian Watson and Jadarian Price. In the 7th and 8th, came with Trevor Lawrence and Cortland Sutton. And one of those picks I thought maybe I should have gone. Yeah, it ended up just fine. So whatever I was thinking, it didn't matter. 9th and 10th round, able to grab Jonathan Brooks and Jacoby Myers. Then in the 11th and 12th, Tyrone Tracy, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith and Kenyon Sadiq in the 14th, Gunnar Helm and Terrence Ferguson in the 15th and 16th, and then finish out with Tank Dell and Pat Bryant. Lemon at 95 is sweet. That's where he was going just a couple of weeks ago, and I found out it was the leg up guys, legendary upside guys that really are high on, who did I just say? Lemon. Pushing him up into the 70s right next to Jalen Hurts. All right, so jumping in another eliminator. And all right, so this is how I'm going to do it. Every streamer is on 7-second delay. So when I say now, I'm going to count 7 seconds and then I'll click the button. So if you want to join and get in this draft, actually, is there anybody that was in the previous draft that wants me to go over their team? What team did you guys have? Are you in this? And I'll go over your team. But I'm going to jump in the other one, the Eliminator, now. Waiting 7 seconds because it's on delay so you guys can see it and hear it. All right. We should all be in there if you want to get in there. I think it snap filled. Hopefully you guys got in before me. Anybody want me to? You're in 2-0 Fox. I didn't even read your name. That's awesome. Bijan, Nico, Jameson Williams, Terry McLaurin. Doing the running back, wide receiver. I like it so far. Week 14, but you late bye weeks with the running backs. I really like Nico and Terry McLaurin at 4'11". That's awesome. Luther Burden at the 5'2". That's great. Tyler Warren coming back. That's a solid tight end there. Really build out your wide receiving room with Brian Thomas and Lemon. And you come back with Nix, Corey Krosky Merritt, Chris Rodriguez. I feel like you missed it. Sorry about that. Yeah, just snap filled. I try to give the 7-second delay. Hopefully, you guys get in seconds before me, but doesn't always work. So you went with JCM and Chris Rodriguez, Trey Tucker, Cam Ward, Denzel Boston, Alvin Kamara. Not a fan of your running back room. Starts out strong. Worry that I guess you're strong enough at the top that it doesn't really matter. You can get those guys to fill in. That's fine. I'm not a huge fan of Engram and Bellinger. If I were you, so as far as the tight end, Michael Mayer is a guy I really like in the 18th. But if you want to eye up a tight end in the 18th, if all else is gone, I would go with Theo Johnson. All right. So I'm going to do what I said I would do. I'm going to grab Ashton Genty here. Christian McCaffrey is normally my pick there. I still think McCaffrey has the opportunity to be 101 overall. Yeah. All right. That makes sense. But if you ever get sniped on Mayer or Stowers in that last round again, and Jake Tom just went in the 17th, Theo Johnson, I think, will actually outscore Likely this year. It's a bold take, but I really don't. Yeah, that's the one thing when I evaluate a team, I'm dead honest. Like, I can't help myself. I don't buttercoat anything. Yeah, it's the tight end room I would have worked on. Like, instead of Ingram, oh, you were in a tough spot. Stowers is hard because he's a rookie. Yeah. That I'm glad I grabbed my tight ends when I did then, huh? I was a little bit like, should I split these guys? I think Ferguson might fall. Glad I nailed Helen. So I was able. I just got my tight ends under the gun there. Yeah, you're in a tough spot. And you know what? We could all be wrong about Ingram. Ingram could rebound and have, I don't want a solid tight end season. I really have to look at his stats. I know he never in his career was really even adequate at scoring touchdowns. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown over Devon Achane. I think Achane has fallen to a spot where at the 2.6, I definitely like him. Oh, let me switch draft boards here. You guys can't even see. Ingram, the new OC, has been talking him up. My problem with that, though, is Adam Troutman by the end of the year was starting inline tight end. Ingram played on the passing downs in 12 formation. With the addition of Waddle, I think Ingram's targets disappear or get cut drastically. I think they would operate in the same space on the field. I could be wrong about that. It could be Pat Bryant operating in that space. But either way, I'm higher on Pat Bryant than most. I really think Pat Bryant is going to be the guy in 11 formation that plays either in the slot or in the Z. Yeah, Troutman has always been Peyton's guy. In fact, I remember the Peyton's first year when he brought him over was his first year. Or whenever he brought Troutman over, everybody was like, "Oh, we got to draft Troutman. Oh, we got to pick up Troutman." I feel like I was probably part of that. Not gonna lie, but we were quite wrong about the points and calling Ingram the Joker and all of that. I'm gonna do something I never do and draft Kyron Williams. Oh, you know what? I would actually rather have Josh Jacobs there. No big deal. Whatever. Week 11 bye, he should give me a solid floor. And who knows? People could be afraid enough of Jacobs that he comes back. He hasn't. He's been going in the third round of these Eliminators. And that's the thing, too. We saw me. I had to suffer through David Montgomery in the last draft. I didn't quite want to do that again, although Kyron Williams is just like young David Montgomery, isn't he? What are your thoughts on RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, Jonah Coleman? Okay, so Jonah Coleman and J.K. Dobbins are the same running back, right? So J.K. Dobbins is going to start out the season. As the season goes along, Dobbins is either going to get phased out or injured. Dobbins I like in this format because the first 8 weeks of the season, he should be their starting running back, getting 12 to 15 touches. And then, start to get phased out. And after the bye week, who knows? I'm going to grab Tatora McMillan here for two reasons. I don't think Cam Scatterboo is worth his hype, and there's plenty of it. And I do think Tatora McMillan could be a number one receiver, so the top 12 receiver this year and going forward. I honestly think Tet McMillan has the skills to be a first-round pick next year in fantasy football. So, I mean, if Cam Scatterboo comes back to me, don't get me wrong, I'm going to take him. But I just think, well, maybe I screwed myself. But we'll see. There's a couple of guys next round that I end up. Anyway, so RJ Harvey is a pass catching back. So I'm not calling RJ Harvey Alvin Kamara. Let's make that clear. Not doing that. But he has that role, or he will have that role. And he's in camp, he's in the facilities, he's working, they see him all the time. They like RJ Harvey. So they're going to continue to give him the opportunity. They drafted him highly enough that he's got that capital that they want him to succeed. So I truly believe that RJ Harvey is going to be given every chance. And he caught 70 something balls last year, right? All right, so 5th round, I'm going to give Colston Loveland a little shot there. I could have gone wide receiver, but I do think Loveland has the chance to be Chicago's number one receiver. I think Burden is going to have. I think Burden will be the most targeted receiver in Chicago. Adunze will be fine. But Loveland has the opportunity to really be a focal point, with 20% target share, maybe even a little more. And that's the other thing I wanted to do this weekend. Hopefully I'll get some time to do it tomorrow and really go over projections. I'd like to publish projections every year, for every team this year. I haven't gotten to do it the past couple of years. It's a process. It's a process to get that published. But if you have the chance, stop by wheelrouteff.com, check out rankings. I really need to get that all updated, hopefully tomorrow afternoon. All right, so I already have wide receiver. I'll grab Tyler Warren here. 3rd running back, different bye week, feeling good about that room. Keeping an eye out for, did Drake May already go? Drake May went. Shoot. All right, whatever. If Jalen Hurts comes back, I'm grabbing him. Probably won't, though. All right, just want to queue a couple of guys up. I guess I'll grab Caleb if he comes back. It seems like quarterback time there. All right, what was I talking about? RJ Harvey. Targets, he's their passing down back. He will have a consistent role throughout the season, and hopefully he's able to do something with his targets and put up some points, because when he goes in the 8th round or later, I've been scooping the Dipperino on him. He could, but I think they drafted Coleman specifically for that role. They weren't originally going to bring Dobbins back, but they couldn't get any of the high-priced free agents, so they decided bring him back and draft a rookie that kind of here's the thing about Dobbins. We never got to see his pass catching ability. Dobbins was really highly touted coming out of college. He was in that. It was at the Dobbins was he the Jonathan Taylor, C.H. Akers, Swift, and Dobbins? Was it those 5 that came out that year? I think it was. And he was mentioned. Those were the top 5 picks in rookie drafts. I will go. Do I have a quarterback? I don't have a quarterback. I'm going to grab Justin Herbert, even though it's, I don't have a stack or anything, and I really actually need receiver. And there goes Harvey and Dobbins. So in this format, I do like Dobbins because I think he's going to start out the season with those 12 to 15 touches. RJ Harvey should be fine. He should still get 8 to 12 touches depending on, game flow. But Coleman will certainly, pace in as a breather back, and towards the end of the season, we'll probably cut in more on Dobbins. He could cut in. That's the thing, too. Coleman could cut into Harvey, too. So if Harvey doesn't show improvement over year 1, Coleman I think of as more of a Zach Charbonnet type back. Really good at everything, but not great or amazing at any one particular skill. He can do the job in any facet, but doesn't, he'll never be called elite in any category. Yes, I'm hoping RJ can be more efficient too, because I do have him, I think, in 3 or 4 dynasty leagues. I've cut back on dynasty drastically. I wanted to expand it again this year, but I am totally a best ball sicko. It's so bad. Best ball is like my downfall. I spend way too much time doing it when I should be doing rankings and projections and the real research of the stuff. No, I'm busy gambling. Nothing wrong with it, right? I don't have a problem. You don't have a problem either. All right. So drafting quarterback and tight end, I'm definitely behind at receiver, but wow. Quentin Johnson gets taken right before me. All right, I'm gonna go with Mekhi Lemon just because the leg up guys were really pumping him up today, saying that he should be a 6th round pick. And yeah, he might start out slow as rookies do, but he may not. He might get the start from day 1. It doesn't really, I can definitely keep it separated. And so the major difference between Dynasty and Best Ball, there's plenty of differences, obviously, but they do overlap in the fact that, for Best Ball, the more you know about the rookie class, the better you're going to be, because you're going to be able to scoop value, supposedly I just did with Mekhi Lemon. Yeah, the leg up guys, they do all facets. I know Pat Corain has played Dynasty for years at a high level. So he always talks about it from both sides of the fence. There's also the, Best Ball you shoot for upside. Dynasty, you sell the upside. You sell to other people. So when you're in trades, think about the upside here. Think about the glamour, the glitz, the high scoring weeks, which don't necessarily matter, but it's always a good selling point. All right, where am I? I need to kind of focus. Definitely need everything. Need everything. And it's I have to keep telling myself stacks don't really matter. Stacks don't really matter. Stacks don't really, I can't even say it right. I do like the tight ends here, though. but I don't really need no, I don't feel the need for it. We did see last draft, they kind of everybody's getting three tight ends, but everybody always gets three tight ends, right? I'm gonna grab Jaden Reed. I think his uh, I think his ceiling and floor is fantastically high. Uh, Jaden Reed, really the issue with Jaden Reed throughout the years has been he only really gets 60 to 65% of the snaps when he's healthy. So health has definitely been an issue. But I think with the thinning Green Bay receiving core, you're going to see his snap share tick up. And with that, the routes run and the targets and all that will follow in suit. And he's one of those, people have called him the mini Debo. So not as jacked as Debo and not going to run everybody over all the time, but kind of that can use him in gadget situations out of the backfield, that sort of thing. Dynasty's fun, but you got to get in with the right group of people too. If people aren't actively looking at their team in the off season, I lost track of the board here. All right, Goff goes right before me. I really want to grab Jacoby Myers, but I'm thinking Jordan Love is the smart move. I like Love as kind of the last of a tier there. I guess Baker you could squeeze into that tier as well, but I have a lot of Love, and I think he could just as easily be right next to Purdy and Mahomes, kind of above this. Like I like Love slightly better than Goff. They're about the same, but I like him better than Stafford, Nix, Dart. Yeah, I could easily, if Love's ADP jumped 2 rounds, I would probably still get him where I have Jaden Reed or somebody else in a stack with him. And actually, like Golden goes right next to him, so he's good to get at the turns too. There's no way they're going to leave me Jacoby Myers. And I've been slacking on reading off the draft picks here, but that's why the board is there. Packers fan, love Reed, just don't see him ever playing 2 wide receiver sets. Yeah, I get that. So who's he battling to get on the field, though? Is it Musgrave? So they're either going 3 wide receiver sets, or in 12, it's Musgrave, right? So I've started to come around to Nix too. I started to think about that and realize, you know what? Especially with Waddle, Nix could have a hell of a season. All right, I need to focus a little bit. Do I want tight end or running back? Oh, I'm up. I'm going to go with Tyrone Tracy. Oh, shoot. Did I miss that? Mark Andrews, I'll take it. Looks like a little tight end run here anyway. And then Tracy goes in the pick right afterwards. So I like Tracy a lot just because I think Scatterboo is going to be a bust. Scatterboo, slow to start out with, major leg injury, not going to get any faster. Runs recklessly, puts himself in positions where he can easily get concussions and re-injure himself in many other ways. Yeah, you can't bet on injury, but I'm doing it when it comes to that guy. He plays football like I played college rugby. Just absolutely reckless, head first, spearing people, didn't give a hoot about anything. And as you can see, it's clearly caused plenty of damage today. All right, so I think I'm going to just shore up my quarterback room. It's always good to get three quarterbacks in this format. And yeah, I think the 12th round is a little bit early for Stroud, but if you look at the guys he goes around, Stroud and Darnold are about the same, but I think they're both better than Young. Uh, I would rather have both of them than Shuck. Uh, they're right around the Mayfield range. Malik Willis in this format, I think, is really good. Uh, he'll run a lot until he either gets hurt or benched, but I don't see Willis finishing out the season. So in this format, he's fine, but in other formats, I just really, really, and as a third quarterback, or actually even a lot of times as a second quarterback, I like Stroud or Darnold just for their floor, just for the safety net. Not going to have to really worry about it. And they can both have bounced back. Well, I guess Darnold had. I think Darnold's going to have a better year this year than he did last, with Kenneth Walker leaving and Charbonnet not being back yet. They're probably going to throw a lot more. I would expect to see Rashid Shaheed involved in the offense a lot more. In fact, in the 12th round here, 12th or 13th, wherever Shaheed goes, he is a value. I need to get more of him. He just falls into a spot in the draft where I have a blind spot, but Shaheed, I think, is going to be an excellent pick going forward. All right. So, shoot. Kind of locked myself out at running back here. All right. I see a couple. If I scroll down a bit, I got a tight end I'm going to get and close out the tight end room. And then I'll worry about running back coming back. I'm still, my brain is still, the last draft I was at the turn. So every time it's my pick, I'm like, which two guys am I getting? I still think I'm at the turn. Little brain warp there. But hopefully one of the running backs I like comes back to me at the next turn. How many? I'm really behind a receiver too. Musgrave and yeah. So yeah, that's another reason why I think Green Bay is probably going to be in 11 formation, 3 wide receiver sets quite often. So that's where Jaden Reed should excel. But they can use him out of the backfield too if they want to give Josh Jacobs a breather. They can run one of those, gadget plays out of the backfield. Marshawn Lynch, they're hoping. All right, so I'm going to grab Jonah Coleman here. We were talking about him enough. I didn't want to bring him up again, but could present you with maybe not at first, but, my first few weeks, my first 3 running backs should be able to cover. And then, maybe midway through the season or something, Jonah Coleman starts to put some points on the board and save me from some zeros. Do I want to stack? All right, I have a Green Bay stack. Houston I'll get later. I have a Charger stack with a tight end, so I don't really need to stack anything. Just kind of going to grab guys that I think could give me some consistent production, which is kind of hard this late, but I guess I could go Trey Harris. But actually, I would rather a guy like Malik Washington. That's an early bye week, but I don't know. I guess he's the number 1 target in Miami. Should I get Debo? Debo's going to sign soon, right? If Debo signs with anybody, he's going to move up. Get some sweet closing line value. Yeah, Bo Nix being the QB7 the past 2 years has been a little bit surprising to me, but he's done it. So, yeah, he's risen up my board, I guess, in my mind. Um, I am going to go Jerry Judy here. Jerry Judy is one of those kind of every other year guys. You can see uh, when I pull up his stats, like every other year, he kind of outperforms his expectations. And so every even year, you're happy with your pick. Every odd year, you're not. So get myself some Judy there. Ooh, that's way too many week 11 buys. Well, not way too many. That's the limit. I don't want any more than 3. Ugh. But by the time I get to week 11, it's already like several $1,000s in your pocket, right? So week 11, there's 14 left or so. Yeah, it's like 10 grand in your pocket already, 5 or 10 grand in your pocket. So if I get to week 11, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But I don't want any more receivers with week 11 buying. That can be difficult too. I like a guy like Zachariah Branch with a week 11 buy. I guess I drafted the rest of them. Cooper Kupp has a week 11 buy. My pick, huh? I'm just going to go with my guy, Tank Dell. It's a little stack on Stroud too. Probably not. Like well, here's the thing. If Tank Dell is back and healthy and ready to go, that's an amazing pick. It's not even boom bust. It's just boom boom. But it is a crowded wide receiving core, so I don't expect him to be consistent by any stretch of the imagination. But in the what round are we in? 16th round. He could be a wide receiver 2 by the end of the season. Top 24 wide receiver. Is that really out of the question? Yeah, that's Dak Prescott is too. But I don't want to bet against them this year, right? Didn't he? Dak had he made it the full season last year, and the year before he was hurt. So that means this year he's going to get hurt or something's going to go wrong in Dallas. I'm not a Cowboys fan at all, but I draft those guys, so I want them to do well. All right, so just looking at some guys to queue up. Slim Pickens. It feels like it's more Slim Pickens here than in regular drafts because you're looking for floor and not for ceiling. Running back. All right, so I feel like I'm just gonna go next in queue. DeJon Stribling, rookie, but he has the same bye week as Tank Dell. Damn, I should have gone Pat Bryant. I had him in the queue too. I don't know why I didn't. And I'm done with tight end. I need a running back. I had in my head that I was going to go. Well, Stribling, Pat Bryant. I would rather have Pat Bryant, but it's 17th round, big deal. Whew. Running backs, no. So I was looking at Katron Allen, but a rookie, probably going to start out the season slow. No, thank you. 2 guys, actually, yeah, there's 2 guys I like. Let me just check the bye weeks. All right. So I could go. Should I tell you who I'm looking at? Is there anybody listening that's in this draft? 0 fucks. You're not here, right? Oh, shoot. All right. So I was looking at Nick Singleton. The other guy I have here is Samaje Perine. Just a floor play. I mean, he's a contingency play as well, but I don't see Chase Brown really going down. But if you look at the snaps and touches towards the end of last year, Pirine was getting close to as many touches, just not the high value touches as Chase Brown. But they use him. They like him. He's kind of like their security blanket style back. All right, I'll go over my team real quick. Not so sure I was really keeping up with the board here. And in the first, we see Ashton Genty, then A.J. Brown. I took A.J. Brown in the second, Kyron Williams in the third, Tatora McMillan in the fourth, Colston Loveland in the fifth, Jalen Warren in the sixth, then Herbert in the seventh, Mekhi Lemon in the eighth, Jaden Reed in the ninth, stacked them with Love in the 10th, grabbed Andrews in the 11th, Stroud in the 12th, closed out my tight end room with Gadsden in the 13th, stacking him with Herbert. Grabbed Jonah Coleman in the 14th, Jerry Jeudy in the 15th, Tank Dell in the 16th as a stack with Stroud. Then Stribling in the 17th, I kind of wish was Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant never got taken, did he? So I think what we've learned here, what I've learned here is that leaving wide receiver to the last round is probably the best bet. I didn't really want to draft Samaje Perine. Katron Allen is often a pick I take in the 17th or 18th, but in this format, the rookie doesn't really fit too well. I was considering Nick Singleton, but again, he probably starts out slow being a rookie. So I would much rather have wide receivers in the last two rounds. I might have been a little bit early in tight end, but we see you really kind of want your tight ends by the 16th. I guess Terrence Ferguson dropped to the 17th here. Oh, that's the other one, 18th round. I'm not sure if he went in the last draft, but Darnell Washington, another good bet for a late round tight end, last round tight end. So Darnell Washington last year was, you guys want me to do another eliminator or should I shift to a puppy? Darnell the Mount. Well, now he's he kind of went from the Rocky Mountains to the Appalachian Mountains. He dropped 50 pounds in the offseason with guidance from the team. So last year, the last couple of years, is he a rookie or is it his second? No, last year was his second year, right? Sorry. Sorry. I was getting a little mixed up whether last year was his rookie year or his second year. But either way, he was basically a offensive tackle that they love to be able to throw to once in a while. This will be his fourth? Wow. I'm old. So he's essentially been an offensive tackle that they love to get out on routes once in a while, get the ball in his hand, and watch him just run over people, right? Really a lot of fun. But they didn't really use him a ton, right? 1 or 2 targets a game. Maybe it stepped up a few games there. But he's gone from 311 pounds to 260 in the offseason. He was already fast for tight ends in general at 311 pounds. I could just imagine what he's going to be at 260. He's literally going to be DK Metcalf. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade DK Metcalf before this season's out. All right. Did I go over my whole team? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want me to go over theirs? Is anybody else in here? In fact, because of the Darnell Washington move or news, I'm slightly concerned about Pat Freiermuth. I mean, he's going super late, so no big deal. But I had kind of big bets on Freiermuth this year. Do we want an eliminator or a puppy? Chat choice. One more. If we don't say anything, I'm going to just jump in a puppy. Rip a puppy. Fast puppy. All right. I'm going to join, or you, if you want to join, you should join now. Fast puppy. I'm going to wait that 7-second delay and jump in right behind you. Hopefully you didn't get the previous draft. Hopefully, if you want to get in this one, there's still 7, 6, 5 spots open. These puppies fill rather quick. So get in there, get in there, get in there. Ripping a puppy. All right. So this, we need to re-gear ourselves to stacks and week 17 bringbacks. I'm going to take a look at the format real quick here. You guys got the draft board there, right? We're filled. I'm in the 3-hole. Might consider doing a 0 RB build from here. So, all right, we have 2 of 12, and then 1 of 10, 1 of 10, and a 375 seat final. That is a rather large final. We really want to stack and bring back for week 17. 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10 in weeks 15 and 16. They aren't going to be easy to get through, but it's easier than BBM, where you would have, I think it's 1 out of 16 and 1 out of 14 in the week 15 and 16. The playoff gauntlet in BBM is just ridiculously hard. Not that this isn't difficult as well, but it's a little bit cheaper too. All right, so we are off and running. You got in the previous one. Sorry, 0 fucks. Damn. I'm trying to time it. I'm trying to help y'all time it right, and I guess I'm screwing it up. Because like when we're watching streamers draft, I don't think we realize like I've been pretty good at it over the years because I've realized there's this 7-second delay. That's just inevitable on. Well, I think it has something to do with anybody that uses StreamYard, because it goes through StreamYard and then to YouTube. So I would imagine that kind of gives it that delay, and maybe it's only a 5-second delay or something like that. I'm timing it a little poorly, but I've always tried to anticipate when they're going to join drafts, and I've been pretty good at like timing it just right. But I want to give everybody a chance to get in, and I'm doing it. Maybe I'm overdoing it, and it's backfiring on me. But we'll get it down. We'll get it right one of these days, and hopefully your puppy works out for you. Where are you drafting from in the other one? All right, first round, we see Gibbs, Bijan, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, JSN, Christian McCaffrey. Kind of those first 6 picks you really just see all the time. Sometimes they get a little jumbled up. In the 7-hole, we see ARSB, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, James Cook, CeeDee Lamb, Ashton Genty. Why can't I be at the 12-hole? Genty Barkley, like I love that turn. That is just juicy as all hell. And then it's 2.2, Derrick Henry. I thought Derrick Henry might start to fall a little bit in these, but looks like he's going the opposite direction. A.J. Brown at the 2.3, then Chase Brown, Omarion Hampton at the 2.5, Kenneth Walker at the 2.6, Devon Achane at 2.7. This Hampton and Walker for the past month have been up like at the beginning of the second round. I guess it's, just difference in taste, but I wonder if it's an indication of them starting to fall a little bit in ADP. All right, so it looks like the running back tier is dead, but Drake London is sitting there. So I start out Chase London. We might go. Well, if Brees Hall is available, I'm going to take Brees Hall. I did a Trey McBride 0 RB build last night and wasn't really happy with it. But it's either McBride or Pickens. I mean, unless, well, Brees Hall is definitely my go-to in the third round. Like, I have way too much Brees Hall, but he just fits just okay. So no Brees Hall. My choices really are Trey McBride or George Pickens. I went McBride last night. I'm going to go Pickens tonight. I'm hoping that maybe Colston Loveland can make it back and I can still get that elite tight end in there. I feel like Loveland definitely makes it to the 410. We'll see what it looks like positionally or what other guys are there. But I would consider that. So Loveland's ADP matches up perfectly with my next pick. And yeah, I'll be fine. It'll be Loveland or a receiver. So this is, and in the fifth is going to be a running back. So I'm going to come very close to a true 0 RB build, but I guess technically if I get 4 receivers, it is a true 0 RB build. In a true 0 RB build, you fill the flex before you draft a running back. But if Loveland's there, I'm probably going to grab him. And I'm still going to call it a 0 RB build because it's, waiting until the 5th. Oh, Loveland went at the 4.2. All right. Well, guess there's been some hype on him. That's fine. I'm still going to get a quality wide receiver coming back to me. I kind of want them to all be different bye weeks. It super doesn't matter. It's not a big deal in this format, but I kind of, it makes me feel comfy and cozy when I can do that. Separate bye weeks for my starters. Well, here's the thing though, too. If Josh Jacobs makes it to me, I'm going to bust this wide open. Oh, all right. Anybody in the chat also in this draft? All right, Jalen Waddle. It is. Lots of analysts calling Waddle very underrated recently. So he has, I mean, I like him too, but there's been a lot of chatter about him lately. So I feel like he's probably going to start shooting up draft boards, and I'm going to scoop him when I can. Start out, Jamar Chase, Drake London, George Pickens, Jalen Waddle. It's going to be tempting. All right. All right, so the next 5 in ADP are running back, and I'm going to take the one I think is going to be the most consistent and have the safest floor, Quinshon Judkins. I have a ton of Judkins. I should really back off. My other choice there is take your vegetables, David Montgomery. David Montgomery is an eliminator-ass pick. There's Travion Henderson, which he has, I think, immense upside, probably more upside than Judkins, but I guess he's going to take over more for Ramondre. Ramondre really caps his upside. So, I don't know, maybe Henderson was the right pick there, but I just feel a little bit more comfortable with Judkins, even though he's on a shitty team. I could easily see Judkins getting over 300 touches this year, and I'm not going to say he's going to break fantasy because he's not going to score enough touchdowns, but he should be a consistent performer. Don't mind it After my Judkins pick, you can see the running backs rattle off, and we see Lamar at the 5.8. Even there, I think Lamar is undervalued. As long as he keeps going there, I would. Oh, whoa! The Flowers drafter, let him go. Yeah, I definitely would have grabbed Lamar at that 5.7, being the Flowers drafter there. You almost always see Lamar stacked. And I do like Flowers even independently this year. After Lamar, we see Tate, Watson, Odunze, and Brian Thomas close out the 5th. Nothing immensely surprising so far. Pretty consistent with most drafts. Tyler Warren at the 6.1. Jadarian Price at the 6.2. Yeah, it's one of those, like, if he stays healthy, he could be up around 350 touches. But and he should be getting targets too. It's not like, Dylan Sampson is probably the better pass catcher, but they're not going to necessarily, take their top tier potential running back out of a game just to, save him maybe towards the end of the season. But I don't know. I think with a full camp, Judkins should really come out of the gate firing this year. And I don't think Cleveland's offense is going to be nearly as bad as it was last year. If for no other reason, their defense is going to be worse. They lost, what's his name? Myles Garrett. So their defense isn't going to be nearly as strong as it was. Coming up on my pick, I'm going to get a quarterback here. I'll grab Jaden Daniels. Mekhi Lemon goes to pick right before me. So a little trick, when you're at the 6'9", 6'10". Even earlier today, saw somebody do it from the 6'8". You grab Mekhi Lemon, and this is part of the reason why Lemon's ADP has really been driven up in the non-eliminator formats, is that people will try to secure getting Jalen Hurts around the turn. But what people don't think about is if somebody has Devontae Smith, they're not going to give two shits about Mekhi Lemon. So you got to watch for where Devontae Smith was drafted. I need to focus on what I'm doing here too. I'll take Jaylen Warren. I don't have a ton of them, but he fits this build rather perfectly. I think when I did this build last night, I went Judkins in the 5th and Daniels in the 6th as well. I might have gotten Jaylen Warren in the 7th. In fact, a lot of these teams start to look together the same the more I do them. I guess I have my favorites. I'm not forcing diversification quite yet. We're still, if you watch any other podcasts, I highly recommend High Low, 1 week season. The YouTube stream is 1 week season. And the guys that were on today, High Low and Pappy. High Low, Mark Garcia is his real name. High Low is a gambling poker thing. He's a big time poker player too. U.S. Air Force, I believe, either Air Force or Navy pilot. True badass, but really a nice guy and super smart. Anyway, 1 week season. They put out a stream today that was about what the drafting philosophy should be at this point in the drafting season. And they were talking about, you still want to really focus on getting your guys right now, because if you're right about these guys, they're probably going to shoot up in ADP in August. So you want to get your guys where you can get your guys now. Worry about evening out exposures or who you might have missed out on later in August as we get the news. Just be along with the pack, everybody getting the news. Kind of August, everybody's in the same boat because things are getting turned over. New things are happening. All right, so we're coming up on my pick, and I haven't been rattling off picks, but I think I've been dropping some pretty good knowledge, so not too, worried about that. All right, Xavier Worthy goes. It's kind of maybe thinking about my home stack, but you know what? I should be looking at running back still. I don't want Kyle Monangai. Running backs seem to be, Dobbins just went. I'm going to reach for my guy, Jonathan Brooks. I have said repeatedly, I will not chase him into the 8th round, and I'm not doing that here. And yes, I should. Monangai is one of the ones that, man, if he has a good season, it's going to chap my ass. Chase Perkins. Ooh. All right. I'll wait until the next. You know what? Fine. I'll get him here. I went double running back. So I got 4 running backs now. So getting caught up there. And they all have different bye weeks. Not too pissed about that. This is how you do 0 RB. You fill the flex with your receiver. You start your RB run, throw in a onesie. It's usually a decent idea. I could have gone Laporta there. Actually, Laporta probably. Ooh. Actually, I thought about Knicks too. I thought Knicks. I should have taken my time and really double check that. That's the other thing about streaming is you get to talking and you kind of you don't realize how much you distract yourself on a stream. So yeah, kind of, sort of. I should have gone Laporta or Knicks with that Monangai pick. But that's all right. We can easily make up ground at quarterback at any point in time. And tight end. We can make that up. If I went with Laporta, I would have been looking to get Goff on the bring back. I guess Goff is still out there. I missed Prescott. He was on the other end of the board. Knicks was probably. I should have gone with Knicks there. I just feel it. I feel like this whole Knicks dart. I like Purdy, so Purdy here is fine. But Murray, Stafford, Goff, I feel like they should all be going around later than they are. Maybe even 2 rounds later than they are. Maybe I'm just distorted. But I know the guys that are going in the 11th and 12th round used to go in the 14th and 15th. The back end quarterbacks have been pushed way up because Leg Up came out with their study that 3 quarterbacks is the best way to get through the regular season and playoffs and best ball. But you're looking at data that has the quarterbacks being drafted later. You're looking at guys like Knicks and Dart and Purdy, instead of being drafted in the 8th and 9th round, were being drafted in the 10th round. Stafford wasn't drafted until the 13th or 14th round some years. Same with Goff. Mayfield was in that zone. Tyler Shuck would have been. Oh, hold on. So Jordan Love fell to me. I don't have him stacked with anybody. Oh, shit. All right. No. Oh, well. I can't stack Jordan Love with anybody, can I? Whoops. Kind of screwed the pooch there, but I felt like a little bit disappointed in myself there because there's no way to backstack him either. Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones goes. I am just going to grab my first tight end and Mark Andrews. Kind of just think he has a pretty safe floor there. And I can't get Jordan Love's tight end anyway. So that kind of not going to be able to stack. God, is there any? I get Marshawn Lloyd in the last round. Maybe I'll stack with Jordan Love. Running back. Could go Musgrave. Nah. Yeah, no, I'm going to be. And given that I got Daniels, I should go 2 quarterback, but we'll see what happens in the last round. Anyway, Mark Andrews just kind of really presents a super safe floor for me. He's the second target in Baltimore, and I think Baltimore is actually going to pass more. I think Lamar's got a chip on his shoulder, and don't get me wrong, he wants to prove things. He wants to prove he was right in getting rid of Harbaugh, basically. But I think they're going to throw the ball more. And Mark Andrews is the favorite check down. So, man, I feel like I got Love at great ADP, but didn't quite think. I always have a Green Bay receiver. That's what it is. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, I can just stack Love with what? I don't even remember who I have. But there's no backstack of him, so it kind of makes it tough. And I'm kind of a little bit torn between sticking with these 2 quarterbacks or getting a third. Usually in a 0 RB build, I want to go 6 running backs, and that way, I just get 2 quarterback and still stick with 7 receivers. We'll see what happens in the next couple rounds. I'm definitely going to get 6 running back. It's just a matter of 3 quarterback and 6 receiver, or 2 quarterback and 7 receiver. I think we'll see what tight ends. There are quarterbacks that are sitting here too. I don't want to get it this early, regardless. Jaden Daniels. Oof. Chigakonkwo just went. There goes my Daniels stack. I could stack him with a receiver later, even though I don't like the receiver. I'll probably do it. You know what? I could get. Diggs is gone. I have a feeling Diggs is going to go to Washington. He grew up like 10 minutes from their stadium. I might get Travis Hunter here. Yeah, what the heck? Just an upside receiver. None of my other guys have a week 7 bye. I would rather get Travis Hunter later, but his upside in best ball is exactly what you want. It has 3 or 4, really peak weeks. Just all he needs to do is catch a couple deep ones or take a couple to the house and get in your lineup for 3 or 4 weeks. And with this build, that's really all I'm going to need for the most part. Cover some bye weeks, maybe. Coming back to me. I'm just going to get a tight end that I think will be. I'm going to go with Brenton Strange, kind of a Jacksonville stack without the QB here. kind of play off of each other. They'll probably never have good weeks on the same week, but they might ham and egg each other a little bit and give me coverage as I need it. And like, so that Brenton Strange pick is really my Chigakonkwo pick. He's probably not going to put up the same numbers, and it's certainly not a stack, but it's as close as I can get to an equivalent. I like Gadsden, but I think his scoring isn't going to be nearly as consistent as Strange. Strange, I feel, has a floor. He'll get 3-4 targets every week, and maybe one week he gets a couple more, puts one in the end zone, and jumps in my lineup here and there as I need it. All right, so I really need to bounce back to running back. I want to grab a couple of running backs and then maybe close that out. I see a tight end I like, but I'm going to pass on that if it comes back. Any thoughts or questions in the chat? How's your draft going, Zero Fucks? Let me get away from that. Maybe. All right, thinning out a little bit here. Jonah Coleman goes. After my Strange pick went Daniel Jones, Jalen Naylor, Juwan Johnson, Trey Tucker, Denzel Boston, Bryce Young, Aranda Gadsden, Isaiah Pacheco, Ryan Flournoy. Oh, that 13th round is a rough one. There's really nothing there worth writing home about. 14th round, Isaac Tesla, Tajay Spears, Kenyon Sadiq. I like him a lot. Had my eye on him. Jonah Coleman, I like. Zach Charbonnet, Hunter Henry, Tank Bigsby, Fernando Mendoza. Give me my guy. All right. Schultz goes before me. I'm going to grab Tyler Algier. Should cover me a little bit in the beginning of the season before Jeremiah Love gets really going. And from the makeup of my team, Judkins should come out of the gate firing just fine. But there's questions as to whether Warren, Brooks, or Monungai can really put up numbers early in the season. So having Algier there is beneficial. I could go back to the running back but I'm going to go Deebo Samuel here. I talked about him in the last draft. When he signs with the team, he will probably shoot up a few rounds in ADP. Deebo will likely, depending on where he lands, but I could see him easily going ahead of Juwan Jennings, Travis Hunter, Omar Cooper, probably right in this Diggs-Coker range. A lot of people think Diggs is going to shoot up in ADP as well, but really, Diggs really has to land in the right spot. I don't see him moving up too much beyond maybe that 12th, maybe the 11th or 10th. He get probably on any news these guys get, they move up a little bit, but I don't necessarily I think Diggs is a good price unless he really hits a sweet landing spot, which not sure what's out there as far as a sweet landing spot. Washington, but he won't be. I guess Washington is probably the best spot for him, or best spot for anyone. We'll see. Either Deebo or Diggs are going to end up with the Raiders, or actually the Colts could be. The Colts. No, they could. We'll see. After Deebo went to Sean Stribling, Adonai Mitchell, Zachariah Branch, Brian Robinson, Dylan Sampson. I almost clicked Dylan Sampson there. I like getting Dylan Sampson when I don't have Judkins. I don't think that is a bad handcuff. It's more of I guess it's a true handcuff. Dylan Sampson, when Quinshon Judkins is at full health and has a full camp, probably won't get as much run as he did later in the season, but he is great when Judkins goes down. After Sampson went Gunnar Helm, Geno Smith, Aaron Rodgers, Jerry Jeudy, Malik Washington starts out the 16th, followed by Ridley, Kamara, Antonio Williams. There goes my stack. Dontavian Wicks, Cade Otton, Sean Tucker. All right. I know what running back I got next in the queue. I don't have any chance at a stack, really. So I'm going to pass that. All right. I'm just going to go with 2 QB. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to go with 2 QB. I'm going to get Jaden Blue here. That closes out my running back room with 6 of them. I need one more tight end, one more wide receiver. Just going to go with the 2 quarterback. As I was saying about grabbing a 3rd quarterback, I'll talk about that after this pick. After Jaden Blue went Freiermuth and Stowers. Where are my tight ends? I'm going to have to grab one of those super late tight ends I was talking about. I'm going to grab Tank Dell. Have I gotten Tank Dell in all 3 drafts tonight? I really should start to back off of him. In fact, I did for a while. I was grabbing Pat Bryant or Elijah Surratt and Jalen Noel. Usually it depends on the makeup of my team, but I could go 6 wide receiver there. I don't have any stacks, which is yucky. Yeah, I agree with you, Zero Fox. Debo is the one I see going there. I feel as though he would fit the Raiders mentality. So I definitely need. Oh, I already went 7 wide receivers. That's why the room looks so good. I was like, well, after Dell, I don't think I need any more receivers. Duh. If I were going to go quarterback, I would have done something like I'd like to grab some sort of Atlanta wide receiver or tight end somewhere along the way. Grabbing Penix with my last pick is usually something I like. If I have neighbors, sometimes I'll go ahead and grab Jameis Winston in the last round. I do think Winston's going to start 6 to 8 games just because Dart plays dangerously and is likely to get hurt. And, so many people are like, well, you can't predict injury. But the way certain players play the game or they may or may not take care of themselves. Somebody like Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, really take care of themselves. So, yes, there have been years where McCaffrey has been injured and out for many, many games. But usually that's a major injury, and you can kind of work your way through that. But Dart is one of those guys, Scattaboo is one of those guys that I'm willing to bet that, yes, they are going to get injured at some point. All right, do I go Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer? Darnell Washington or Michael Mayer? All right, so Michael Mayer has the same bye week as Mark Andrews. I'm going to go Darnell Washington with the 0-sack team that probably doesn't make it because of the lack of stack and the lack of bring back. I don't. You guys got me talking to me. I got too into this 0 RB build, and I dropped the baby, and despite I don't even know what the phrase is. I dropped the ball. I like that. Jackson Blue Tent. Yeah, for sure. It's just like, so Jaden Daniels, yes, you're right. But I feel like maybe he's learned. He doesn't spear people to get the, like, Jaden Daniels just has a habit of like thinking he's so fast he can hit that hole. And most of the time he does, but when he doesn't, it's like, whee, and he runs kind of upright too, right? Like, which a quarterback should, because they should get the hell out of the way. But when you hit somebody that's upright, it's really easy to make their feet fly out from under them. Jackson Dart, on the other hand, doesn't run upright. He puts his head down in a spearing motion, which is not the way you're supposed to run, which is the way I ran when I played college rugby, and it's the way Scatterboo also does it. So that is another reason why I'm like, it's not. And I don't know if y'all saw the video that just came out, Jackson Dart. He's young. He's having fun. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's certain things you should keep off camera, right? I don't know if you guys saw, he was playing around with his friends, he was on a huge yacht, like probably like 3 stories off the water, throw a deep pass to somebody on a jet ski, which it's awesome. But then he kind of goes around to the other side of the yacht and he jumps off this yacht, and it had to be a 30-foot drop into the water. That's not what I would consider playing safe and smart. I just, call me an old fogey, but that just doesn't seem to me. It seems like when I was his age, I was absolutely doing the same thing. Didn't have a single responsibility to anybody else, though. And he does have responsibility to that organization. So just kind of this lack of judgment has me kind of betting against them for this year anyway. Don't get me wrong. Before videos and social media, I'm sure all of this was going on. But they weren't as big. They weren't as strong. They weren't as fast. They just weren't. And put it this way, if you're out of shape and slow, it shows up right away now. There's like, you can see it on TV. Back in the day, everybody was hungover. Actually, back in the day, they were all roid freaks and coked out of their minds. So they were playing fast and furious, but that's just different in era. And you just got to think about who you're playing against. Like back then, they were all kind of doing the same partying and everything. So yeah, now you see it, but you're also the spectrum has broadened. There's far more fantastic athletes, and there's probably fewer people partying, but they're getting caught, and that's the difference, right? Like I'm a teacher, and I tell my students all the time, the real difference between students today and students 30 years ago is y'all get caught, and actually they don't give a fuck. They don't care about getting caught, because 9 times out of 10 these days, there's no consequences. And I think this whole thing, I can get philosophical about a whole bunch of things. I won't do that here. This is fantasy football. I'm going to go over my team real quick, and I got to call it a night because somebody's waiting on a good night text from me. So I got Jamar Chase in the first, Drake London in the second, George Pickens in the third, Jalen Waddle in the fourth, Quinshon Judkins in the fifth, Jaden Daniels in the sixth. To me, this is a true running back, 0 RB build. Technically speaking, you would have Judkins and Daniels reversed. You want a strong onesie, fill the flex, and then get your running back in a 0 RB build. I kind of just flipped the fifth and the sixth. We're going to call it a 0 RB build, even if maybe it's technically hero RB. I don't know. You'd have to ask other people, but I'm going to call it a 0 RB build. Then come back and fill my running back room, Jalen Warren, Jonathan Brooks, Kyle Monangai. Came here with Jordan Love, who was an ADP value, but it was a bad pick. There's no way to stack them. I thought I already had a Green Bay receiver because I almost always do. Kind of I dropped the ball on that one. And we see Mark Andrews. I took Mark Andrews in the 11th, Travis Hunter in the 12th, Strains in the 13th, Algier in the 14th, Debo in the 15th, Jaden Blue in the 16th, closing out a 6 RB room, Tank Dell in the 17th, Darnell Washington in the 18th. Anybody else in here? Yeah, that's what I fill the flex with a receiver, so technically that fulfills the definition. I always think of it as like you also want premium onesies in this build, but it's really hard to execute that especially in this meta, right? Where you have just, I feel like maybe this 5th round, actually Bucky is usually a little up, but these guys in the 5th round, I feel like usually go in the 6th round, and kind of everybody feels like they're pushed up around, except for me. Josh Jacobs still feels like a super value to me, but he's got all those legal things that he needs to worry about. So yeah, I'll give it a 0 RB build. And I went through the rest, right? Anybody else in here want me to go over their team? All right, everybody, please hit that like, subscribe. That is super important. In order for me to feed the algorithm, I need subscribers. Turn on those notifications. I will be on tomorrow. Have no idea what time. Probably similar time at night, but I really don't have a appreciate that. I really don't have a set schedule at all. So hit that little bell, turn on those personalized notifications, and you'll be good. You'll know when I'm coming on. Until then, check out wheelrouteff.com. Hopefully I have some updates tomorrow on that site, and I will check y'all later. Have a great night.